Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, the 24th of June, 2025. I'm Graham Hughes. I'm also really late. I'm really sorry about that. I've been having technical problems with my with ChatGPT, which is supposed to tell me, like, well, not supposed to tell me what to say. It's supposed to make me a nice little bulleted list to refer to as I'm doing my fucking show. But it decided that it wasn't going to do that. Well, it was going to give me a bulleted list, but it was going to incorporate things from last week that aren't relevant to what I wanted to talk about. Anyway, right, so hello everyone in the chat. We've got Scott and Veg Pie, we've got One Angry Pagan, we've got Anne Phillips, Trip in there, SG, we've got Saz, we have got Colin Baker, and we've got L, Martin. Hello everyone. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat there, all you need to do is hit the subscribe button and wait for approximately 60 seconds, and then you can join in. I'm sorry, I was really late. I will chunder on a little bit, as I often do. Today we're going to be talking about the WrestleMania and Kayfabe. It's a word that I didn't know, which is a word meaning that we in wrestling, it's like the pretending that it's actually real when it's not actually real. It's a bit of a weird one. Kayfabe is the term. It refers to the presentation of stage events as if they are real. Wrestlers maintain the illusion that their rivalries, personas, and storylines are genuine, even though everybody else knows it's all scripted. Kayfabe is an unspoken agreement between performers and audience. We all know it's fake. We pretend it's real for the sake of the show. The reason why I'm thinking of this is because of what happened yesterday with the situation in Iran and Qatar and Israel and America, where there was an attack over the weekend on Iranian targets, but they were telegraphed in advance, so Iran had the chance to move the material and some of the equipment out. I mean, I still maintain that it's set their nuclear program back. Of course it has, but they knew that it was going to happen. They were told that it was going to happen. And that's why no one was injured. No one was killed in those bombings. They dropped these massive bombs on the complex in the mountain. And it didn't actually kill anyone because they knew it was coming. And then the Iranians fired some missiles and they told the Qatari authorities that these missiles were coming and to shoot them down. 14 missiles, symbolically for the 14 bombs that were dropped by the Americans. And it just got me thinking about this whole concept in wrestling where everyone knows it's fake, but they pretend that it's real anyway. And I think this goes to the heart of Trump's presidency. I think this is very much like what his presidency is built on. It's built on this concept of this kind of like hypernormalization, this fake reality show that's scripted, but we have to all sort of suspend our disbelief or something and pretend that this is all really going on. And for me, it comes back to the early days of Putin when he was sort of the master of manipulation. Well, he still is, in Russia, managing to just confuse the shit out of everyone. And he had his right-hand man fund pro-Putin marchers, anti-Putin marchers. He had him support pro-LGBT rights, anti-LGBT rights, and will tell everyone that they were funding both sides to just spread confusion so people didn't know what was real and what was not. There was a show in the 1990s called Wild Palms. It was kind of like a response to Twin Peaks. They wanted like a weird TV show, and it was produced by Oliver Stone. And in the line in that is it real or is it Mimicon? And that was the line. And it was this idea that he didn't actually know what reality was anymore because the augmented reality of the future was so enticing. And we're entering this world now in which it's not just people who want to be taken in, by bullshit like Brexit or anti-vaxxers, but it's now like AI. If people see something that's AI, they share it. And you're going, why are you sharing this AI? Why are you sharing this AI slop? It's clearly AI. I'm not even like mildly convinced that this is real. It's just so fake. Oh, you've got a little bit of video of someone interviewing someone and saying something stupid. It looks so ridiculously fake to me. I don't know how it feels to everybody else watching it, but there's a certain movement of the mouth, of the eyes. There's the fact that there's no heft, there's no weight to anything. Nothing looks physical. It all looks like a computer game where everyone just looks like an inflated balloon. Like they look like they're made of air, the way they move, the way they glide through the air. It's unnatural, it's uncanny valley, but people fucking love it. They share it like crazy bastards. Well, not to me anymore because I've blocked everyone who did it. But, you see it on Facebook, people sending it of an African kid who's made a fucking crocodile out of old bottles. And you're like, he's got 7 fingers. What is wrong with you? Why are you sharing? Oh, I just thought it was a nice picture. So let's get back to the whole WrestleMania thing, right? So Trump hosted WrestleMania in the 1980s. He did the Battle of the Billionaires with Vince McMahon, who is incredibly problematic. He's the head honcho of the WWE, which used to be called WWF when I was a kid, but it's called WWE now. Vince McMahon is a seriously messed up individual who, I mean, just to give one example of how messed up this motherfucker is, he had his family be part of the show because he plays like the villain who owns it all and makes these wrestlers wrestle against their will or something, I don't know. And he brought his daughter on and as one of the characters in this sort of soap opera that they play out. It's soap opera with muscly men with, oil on them for some reason. And one of the plot lines he wanted was his daughter to get pregnant. Okay, trigger warning. He wanted himself to be the person who got her pregnant in the story, in the narrative of WWE. And they said, no, that we can't really do that because that's so fucked up. He said, well, can a brother get her pregnant then? These people are not right. These people are very, very rich, but very, very not right at the same time. There's something deeply, deeply wrong with these motherfuckers. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. I very much doubt it has set their nuclear program back. If anyone thinks Iran has set their enrichment sites so close together, I have a few million gallons of snake oil to sell. I mean, I must have set it back a little bit, Paula. I mean, I'm not saying that it's, I don't think anyone's saying, oh, it's over, it's done, it's living on cloud cuckoo land. But really, you can say it's not set it back at all. I mean, if I had a business and it was set up in a particular location and I had to pick up all the stuff from that location and move it half a mile down the road, okay, I might still have all my stuff, but it's still a fucking hassle. It's still, time that I could have spent researching or enriching uranium or doing whatever the fuck I needed to do in my place that I already had set up. Having to move is a bit of a ball ache. So, I think it's set it back a little bit. I'm not saying it's completely compromised and it's not going to move it ahead at all. But it all just seems like theatre to me. Absolute theatre. It's like when Putin says that he's going to use nuclear weapons against Ukraine. If Ukraine do this, do you remember he said if NATO expanded to Finland and Sweden, he was going to unleash hell. Go on then. If Ukraine didn't capitulate within 2 days, 3 days, he was gonna drop the big one. He hasn't, because he hasn't got the fucking facilities to do it. Nuclear power is nuclear weapons are fucking expensive. They're fucking expensive to make. They're even more expensive to maintain. And the idea that Russia, as dysfunctional as it is, has managed to maintain any of those fucking things is I don't know. I think it's for the birds. But yeah, so Trump is a WWE Hall of Famer. He's learned from WWE, McMahon, which is incredibly successful in the US. Spectacle is much more important than substance. No publicity is bad publicity. Trump makes sure that he is in the news every fucking day. of the week, every week of the month, every month of the year. He knows that it doesn't matter that he's a villain to half the country. In fact, that just elevates his renown. He understands that enemies equal ratings. He understands that it needs to be black and white, good versus evil, pitching his side against the other side, and the other side are all wrong uns who want to teach your children how to be nice and polite and decent, and we're going to have none of that because this is a fight. This is a fight to the death. A scripted, choreographed fight to the death, but a fight to death. Anyway, and he's applied these sort of wrestling archetypes to politics, where they have faces, which are the heroes, they have heels, which are the villains, and Trump always positions himself as both. He's like this, he positions himself as this sort of misunderstood underdog and righteous savior. And it doesn't matter if he lies or contradicts himself, or the Trump of yesterday is not reading from the same script as the Trump of today, because it's all it's all kayfabe. It's all this concept, this illusion of theatre, of spectacle, of putting on a show. This is bread and circuses, just without the bread. This is just pure circuses. It's people treating politics as entertainment, which irks me on so many levels. It's like there's a band that you really like. You really like this band, and there's only a few of you that like that band, right? And then you get a bit shirty because other people start liking the band, and you're like, oh, fuck, now everyone likes them. It's really hard to get a ticket for a gig, blah, blah, blah. But it's worse than that. It's like your favourite band that you loved when it was only 5 years at a gig, they, as a response to their new audience, they start sounding like fucking Coldplay or Mumford & Sons. And you're like, what has happened? Why have you destroyed this band? Were great, and they don't play any of the old stuff anymore. They only play their Mumford & Sons banjo GB News shite. That's what it's like for people like myself who are like politics wonks, who are like, yeah, politics should be boring. It should just be the management of everyday life. It should be solving everyday problems. It shouldn't be running around going, I'm going to save the world. I'm going to liberate these countries. I'm going to give them democracy. I drop bombs, democratic bombs on them. Hey, it's all a daft military adventure. It shouldn't be like that. It should be, look, we've got some problems in this country and they need solving. So let's work together as a nation and solve the problems. Hey, we've got these problems that are all the way across Europe. Say we have an issue with refugees coming in and we're all arguing about what to do about it. Okay, well, let's work together as all these different countries across Europe for a better result. Okay, we've got a problem. Let's fix it. The world is suffering now from global climate change. There's a heat dome today over eastern USA, and it's going to result in the deaths of people because they're going to die of fucking heat exhaustion. Once it gets over 40 degrees of heat, the human body can just shut down because it's just too hot. Stop sweating. It doesn't know what to do. It's like, oh, fucking hell, man, it's too hot. Can't be dealing with this shit. So we work together with countries all around the world and we say, right, we're gonna cut our pollution. We're going to clean up the air. We're going to clean up the water. That's what we should be doing. But instead of that, we're going on these damn fool idealistic crusades against woke, against the EU, against trans people, against immigrants, against asylum seekers, name what you will. Instead of dealing with the problem that we've got, we're inventing problems that don't fucking well exist. The EU being the best example, it wasn't a problem, except to a few select billionaires who didn't want to pay a little bit more tax because their tax havens in the Cayman Islands and the Turks and Caicos Islands were going to be shut down. And they're like, oh, don't like that. Oh, don't want to pay tax on, all my ill-gotten gains. Don't want to contribute my fair share to society, the society that allowed me to make all this money. I love that line by Bill Burr where he says, fucking Elon Musk, he said, oh, this system's not working. And he's a fucking richest man in the world. You know, he's a billionaire. He's a multi-billionaire. He's like, the system's not working. Well, it seems to work pretty well for you, knobhead. Someone described it. There's two ways that I've heard it. One was about black people and in America, especially, but you could argue here as well, where it's like you're invited to play a game of Monopoly, and yet you start 100 years after everybody else, and they give you the dice to roll it and say, you know, we're all equal now. You're allowed to play Monopoly, but you've not been allowed to play the board game. And but all of the squares are occupied by people. People have already bought up all the squares and put a hotel on every fucking square. And they give you the dice and go, there you go, good luck, mate. And the other analogy, which I really liked, is imagine a game of snakes and ladders in which the people who were fortunate enough to land on the ladders got to the top of the ladder and then pulled up the ladder. And you're then given the dice and going, go ahead, mate. So instead of you being given those opportunities for a leg up, those ladders are all taken away as the people at the top just take them. Or people having a race, and every time you win the race, you get something better to make you win the next race even faster. You get like a little rocket ship or a racing car or something, or a better pair of trainers. I don't know. So, yeah, we should be working together. But instead, we're tearing each other apart. And it's partly because of this WrestleMania mentality. And over here, we call it footballification, which is another great term to describe what's happening. But, you know, in Trump's world in America, the border wall, the deep state, QAnon, stolen election, claiming that he's chosen by God, all his fucking crypto scams, all this. It's like yesterday doesn't matter because everyone forgets what happens yesterday. All that matters is the new spectacle, the new shiny thing, the latest episode of Trumpmania 2025. And people want to believe it, even though they know it's nonsense, which has a lot of parallels with cults and religions to some extent. Don't upset anyone in the chat by talking about religion and the fact that I do think there's a lot of people who know in their heart of hearts that their religion is a bit silly. I don't want to go as far as to say it's complete nonsense, whatever, but they know it's a little bit silly. Talking snakes. You know, a woman made from a man's rib. You know, I'm just not happy about that. But, you know, they know it's perhaps not too realistic, but they don't care because it makes them feel good. It's not a thing about, you know, I like facts. I like keeping myself grounded. I like learning new things. I like learning how things work and how it all fits together like a big jigsaw puzzle throughout history and the history of science and the human geography of the world. In fact, the physical geography of the world I find fascinating. You know, there's so much to learn, and you'll never stop learning. You can keep learning new stuff every day for the rest of your life. I like that, but that's just my setup. That's just the way I am, you know? Other people, they don't like it. They don't like learning new stuff. They like having their own biases confirmed. And if that means looking at absolute nonsense and in your heart knowing it's nonsense, but still going through the motions of believing it anyway, I think there is a human predisposition towards that kind of shit. Magical thinking. And although I don't experience that myself, I don't think, I understand that other people do. I've got enough empathy to understand that other people, they take this as read. They know it's bollocks, but they love it anyway. It's like falling in love with a wrong'un. You know they're a wrong'un, but you love them anyway. Or your kid being a dickhead. You know they're a dickhead, but they're your kid. You love them anyway. So people want to believe, even if they know deep down it's nonsense. And think about like Trump's sort of conventions that he had, his big rallies, smoke, lights, music, fucking Hulk Hogan coming up on stage, chanting, big screens. This is pure distraction, dopamine and drama. Like I say, this is Romans' bread and circuses. Without the bread, you don't need the bread. Got enough bread. This is just pure fucking circus. And Trump does it really well. And you've got this whole Memeification. I don't even know that's a word. Is this the Memetic presidency of Donald Trump with the alt-right rebranding of meme culture with ironic racism leading to unironic extremism? Trump posts memes from like people like Nick Fuertes. He posts stuff about his cryptocurrency. He posts stuff about he's going to stop the tariffs, and he let his friends know before that happens, so they can buy the dip, as they say in buying crypto and shares and shit. And everyone pretends it's normal. Everyone pretends it's fucking normal. This is not normal. But maybe it will be going forward. I keep saying that when Trump goes, this Trumpmania is going to go with him, because I don't think that anyone waiting in the wings can actually pull it off. But who knows? The line between trolling and ideology is gone. I don't know if you can get it back. Like, Trump thrives in that ambiguity, and I'll think back to this meme gala that he had. What was it? The Trump coin meal that he had, where he raised $148 million in one night, where people are like paid to dine with Trump. Absolute pay to play, quid pro quo corruption. And alt-right assets name things like F the Jews and swastika coin in the wallets of guests at this event. And Trump has become the central banker of this meme-driven grift. And this is all tied in with, why do people like crypto so much, right? Crypto's not an investment. Anyone who tells you that crypto is an investment is a bullshit artist. It is not an investment. It is a gamble. It's like gambling on the GGs or gambling on the pokies, or the fruit machines as we call them in this country. It's like any form of gambling. It's the blackjack table. It's the excitement of the gamble, because you don't know whether it's going to go up and you don't know whether it's going to go down. It's entertainment. It's a little bites of fucking entertainment. And there's a whole ecosystem based around people telling you when to buy this shit, when to sell it, and all that kind of stuff. They're the ones who make the real money out of this, by the way. And also the brokers. So every time someone buys one of these Trump meme coins, then those crypto coins, he makes money. He makes like 2% out of every transaction. That's how you make the money. If you ever watch, I think it's Superman 3 with Richard Pryor, and he wants to know where all the half pennies go when there's a banking transaction and it's like 0.5 or something. He's like, where do all the half pennies go? And he gets all the half pennies from all the banking transactions in America, and he puts them all in his own account, and suddenly he's the richest man in America. Pretty smart, pretty fucking smart there, Richard Pryor. Very good, thank you. And that's the exact same idea they had with PayPal. And that's why Peter Thiel and Elon Musk are so fucking rich, because every PayPal transaction they took a percentage. They took a bit of money. This mad thing about Trump said last month he was on a mission from God. This echoes QAnon prophecy. This is the messianic warrior here to cleanse America, and this ties in, WrestleMania and religion and cults and the cult mentality and this footballification and the deification of our politics and our leaders. It's just, to those of us on the outside of all this, it's just fucking embarrassing. It's like seeing a close family member fall into like Scientology or something, and you're like, oh, so how's the galactic warlord Xenu getting on these days? Have you exercised that sad ghost of a thetan that lives within you and gives you sad thoughts? It's just, it's just blatant nonsense. Paula, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Super chats definitely aren't snake oil, but she says crypto equals snake oil. Thank you very much. You're number one. Hey, listen, I know I was like getting started this morning. Honestly, I was sitting here at the fucking computer going nuts at ChatGPT. Because what I normally do in ChatGPT, I say, this is what I want to talk about. Here's some articles about what I want to talk about. Please make me a bullet point. I could show you it. It's like a bullet point thing to keep me on target. Because with me, ADHD and everything, honestly, if I don't have something to refer to now and again, I go, yeah, that's what I need to talk about next. I'll go off on a mad tangent and you won't see the point of the show for the next 3 hours. I'll just ramble on, as you know. Let's get ready to ramble! But for some reason, ChatGPT decided it hated me today, and it was putting in like points about Daniel Hannan, and I was like, "That's yesterday's show. Ignore that. Just look at today's." And then it started like putting stuff in about the show I did last week. And I'm like, "Stop putting in stuff from old shows." So I had to start a new thread, and because it takes a few moments to actually, generate the text, I was like, "Oh, fucking hell, I've got to start the show." Anyway, Rosie, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Hello, Graham. Thanks for your shows in these scary times. Really appreciate sane, caring people. Oh, thanks so much, Rosie. That's really kind of you. I really appreciate that. And like, I think that actually having these conversations makes it a bit less scary, because I think it's really good to talk to Americans in America, like having a chat with Tim and Mikey on stateside last night and just going, what's happening? They're just taking it in their stride, as people do in disaster situations. If you watch a movie in disaster situations, everyone turns on each other and starts fighting over the resources, and everyone turns into a big mad fucking cult and kills anyone who looks at them funny. When in reality, the disaster strikes, people are minded to help each other out. That wouldn't make us as an exciting TV show or movie, but that's generally what happens. But the newspapers and the media, they want everything to just be like everything's going crazy, everything's going nuts. There's a fantastic scene from from Brass Eye. Do you remember Brass Eye, the BBC show? Not Brass Eye, sorry, that was Channel 4. Day to Day, when it's like they're talking to the Australian ambassador about tariffs or something. And he says, well, what are you going to do if they raise tariffs on you? He says, well, we'll retaliate. He says, what are you going to retaliate with? He's just threatened you. He says he's going to retaliate. He's got the two people in the studio. And then he's like, go on, say it. He says, well, that'll mean war. And then the whole studio, the lighting changes, the music changes. And they've got like this huge sign that says war behind them. And they're like, oh my God, we're coming with the battle desk and all this. And it's so dramatic and so ludicrous and so over the top. And that was 30 years ago. The Day to Day came out, and it's still relevant today. The way that the news reports this shit, it's so sensationalized. It's so like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. It's really not. And although I don't think that America's going to recover from Trump anytime soon, and in the same way, I don't feel like Britain will recover from Brexit anytime soon. But we muddle on. That's what we do as humans. We muddle on. And as someone who grew up in the 80s, watching things like Threads, Happy Nightmares, kids. I was like 6 when I came out. When it came out. I was like 6 when that came out. When the Wind Blows. Absolutely fucking terrifying. Red Dawn. We had all these shows about nuclear holocaust. And we thought, I thought that I wouldn't live to see adulthood. And unfortunately for me, that kind of mentality of like, oh, well, the world won't be here in a little bit, so who gives a fuck, kind of screwed some things up for me in my life, because I've not taken decisions, like especially financial decisions, that would have been better for me to take. And I'll be in a better situation now at the age of 46 than I am at the moment. Had I started saving for a pension. But I thought, I don't even need a pension. Yeah, what's the point? That world's not going to be here. We're going to have annihilated ourselves. Well, global warming. We'll all be living in caves and stabbing people for food. And that's not the way life goes. Because as sensationalized and WrestleMania bullshit that the media and some of our politicians are, the reality is, and whatever happens, we will muddle through. We will muddle through. And I'll tell you that because we've got these wonderful people in the chat. There's some people here. There's some people on this island, on this planet, on this rock, hurtling through space, who are pretty sensible, are pretty, okay. I don't want to use the word normal because no one's really normal, are we? But like, just the idea of facilitating the apocalypse is a minority obsession. These people in America who, they think that by Israel winning a war in the Middle East, they're gonna herald the second coming of Jesus or something. Because that's what Jesus was known for, being a fucking warrior. He's gonna turn up like a berserker of old and just like run at the front of the tanks and just smash them up with his fucking hands like he's fucking Hulk. I don't know. Anyway, Alistair, thank you so much for the 5 Politics Social gift memberships. That is very, very kind of you, my friend. Who's got them? Who's got the memberships? We've got Commander Max Headroom. Great name. Night Parade. We've got Liam Furhurst. We've got Paul N. We've got Barbarian with an MRS. Thank you very much to Alistair and welcome new members to the chat. You said his name and the mic he appears. Is he Beetlejuice? Yeah, don't say his name 3 times. He'll appear. The species Homo sapiens is one of the most adaptable species this planet has seen so far. Yeah, one Angry Pagan makes a really good point there. So even if we do take the most disastrous of disaster scenarios, humans have adapted to live in deserts. They've adapted to live in Arctic tundra. They've adapted to build houses on stilts and get around on boats. It does happen. And although, I don't particularly want that future, the idea that we're going to wipe ourselves out isn't realistic. But what is realistic is there's going to be serious problems in our future if we don't act now, especially about climate change in particular. The reason why there's going to be a big problem with climate change is that, for instance, Bangladesh, huge population, and half that population live below sea level, in the delta of the Ganges River, and where they're going to go? They're a country completely surrounded by India. The human body is an amazing thing. Yeah. What was that terrifying documentary film from the 1960s that was banned for many years? Was it War Games? It was called The War Game. It's called The War Game, and it was like it was a documentary style film. Same with Threads. Threads was a documentary style film. It had a little bit of drama in it. God, it was a fucked up film. For those of you who haven't seen Threads, please don't watch it. Because it's as grim as it could possibly be. What happens? So essentially, it's like a documentary, but with dramatized scenes in it. And it follows the story of this woman who gets pregnant. She's not married. And then she's going to marry her boyfriend. And then the bomb goes off. It's set in Sheffield. Sheffield's hit by a big bomb, right? And I think her boyfriend's killed in the bomb. And it also follows all the other people who are, trying to survive. But she's one of the few not just named characters, but you kind of follow her story along. Okay? So if you wanted to create the most depressing, absolutely shocking, depressing bit of film of all time, I think it's up there with like any horror film. I don't think there's anything been made as absolutely pant-wettingly terrifying as Threads. So she's pregnant, and then it's like 9 months later after the blast, and she gives birth, and she has the baby, and she has to bite through the umbilical cord, I think, because she's in a barn or something on her own, and then she's got to find food for the baby, and then it's flash forwards like 11 years or something, and that baby's like a girl now, and she's got cataracts, she can't see, and she dies, and her kid can't really speak properly because of like selective mutism. I don't know. And then a couple of years later, you see her daughter, and she's stealing some food, and then there's a boy who wants the food that she's got, and then the boy ends up raping her. This is the film. This is what. Oh my god! I should give trigger warning to this before I even talk about it. It's like all set in this like post-apocalyptic world in which people are scavenging for food, being shot from helicopters for scavenging for food, and then it's like 9 months later, she gives birth to this baby, and she just looks at the baby and screams, and then it ends. It fucking ends, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. And do you know what? I've got to say, like, that changed people's minds. There was also a film called The Day After, which Ronald Reagan saw, and that changed his tune about his approach to nuclear weapons. Because up till then, he was kind of bullish against the Soviet Union, the evil empire, tear down that wall, and all this kind of stuff, right? And he watched The Day After, and after that he was like, oh, maybe we should bring us back from the brink. And I feel like the impact of Threads, The Day After, When the Wind Blows, I think we need something along those lines for the environment, for climate change. We need to make some kind of documentary set in 2050 and just go all out, go absolutely all out, and just go, hey, this is the absolute worst case scenario of what will happen. And this is going to happen in 25 years. So if you have a baby now, when they're 25 years old, this is what the world's going to look like. And scare the living bejesus out of people. Because we're not doing that enough with climate change. It's a gradual process. It's not as like massive as a nuclear bomb going off. It's not as explosive. It's not as sudden. But I think that we need to look into this and go, this is the world that our children are going to inherit. Take the absolute worst case scenario, 3.8 degrees of warming by 2050. The absolute worst case, Britain under permafrost throughout the winter, because we're on the same line of latitude. There's like fucking Baikal in Siberia. The only thing keeping us warm is what we call the Gulf Stream. I know it's the AMOC, isn't it? But the warm water coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, keeping us warmer than we should be. Unquiet Badger, Threads is getting remade by the folks who made Adolescence Fun Times. Oh, Jesus. Richie Goth says Threads was brilliant. You can watch it. You can watch it on YouTube. You can just watch the whole thing if you want. If you maybe don't watch it on your own, maybe watch a comedy afterwards. Maybe watch like Airplane afterwards to cheer yourself up. The Hills Have Eyes. When the Wind Blows. Yeah. Chris, I believe they're just attention seekers madness wrapped up in a fad. He's replying to Chris. Colin, I now recall the video Two Tribes with Reagan and Chernenko in a cockfighting ring as the world watchers in the audience. That Two Tribes by Frankie Goes to Hollywood. We actually referenced that last night on the on the Stateside show. Don't Look Up. Chibs. But Don't Look Up was an allegory about climate change, but obviously they wanted the more immediate impact, so it was, an asteroid hitting the Earth. But yeah, I was 16 and it changed my generation, says Witchy Goth. Watched The Longest Day yesterday. French Resistance and Holding the Bridge. Fantastic. Up and Up the Book, says Plum Duff. The Longest Day is a fantastic film with so many people in it. It's ridiculous. Look at the cost of the room and board in an American college. Should be scary. I'm currently binging the Big Bang Theory on Prime as I need some serious comic relief, says Chris C. Al says, my dad made me watch Predator. I initially thought it was another war film and then went, oh. The best bit about Predator is the way that you've got this guy at the end, you know, he's absolutely traumatized by his experience. All his mates are dead. And then they have like this ending, like with the credits, with like people turning to the camera and smiling as their name comes up at the bottom of the screen. All these dead people, all the characters who have died, it's like, it's Apollo Creed. It's Jesse Ventura. It's like, what the fuck? And I do think that like Predator is one of the best works of satire of all time because it absolutely takes the piss out of those super macho 80s movies with Arnie and Sylvester Stallone where they go around just killing everything that moves and getting away with it. Alice Durham, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, my friend. Gulfstream stops UK is like north like Moscow, so get used to that. -20 temperature in winter. Yeah. But also, I mean, look, we will. This is the thing, Alistair. Thanks for the super chat. We will get used to it. We'll have to. We'll have to change the way we live. We have to change our. We'll have to knock down a lot of houses and build new ones that are better insulated, I guess. But people in Canada, people in northern USA, they deal with -20 temperatures in the winter. It's just something that we're gonna have to deal with. Gosh, I remember Clarence the Cross-Eyed Lion. So yeah, back onto Trump anyway. Trump and fucking meme coins and all this, you know. The thing is, like, you know, Trump sort of puts himself forward as this WWE wrestler, you know, like the Undertaker, but with like nuclear weapons for some reason. But like, here's the thing: this memetic warfare that we're indulging in, it's asymmetrical. Nobody can do this like what Trump does. Not Biden, not Starmer, not Macron. The left tries to use sincerity, whereas the right just memes. You know, this is like bringing it's like bringing a clipboard to a gunfight. I think you'll find that that's not quite correct, actually. And I think that we need to sort of look at why this works so well and what we can do to, you know, to fight back. So as James O'Brien says, you know, blind football logic is now applied to politics. We have loyalty is more important than policy. If you ask someone who votes for refuck what the fuck refuck's policies are, they won't know. Nobody knows because he just spouts any old shit that he thinks people want to hear. Their sense of identity is a lot more important than evidence. And your tribe, your footy team, is way more important than the truth. But as they say in Chernobyl, in the TV show Chernobyl, like each lie that's told incurs a debt to the truth, and one day that debt is paid. In the case of Chernobyl, it was the Chernobyl disaster. But this happens all the time through history. A lie grows and grows and grows and gets to a point where something has to give. And it's usually quite terrible. You know, we tend to boo the other side because it's what our side does. And I'm not immune to this. I call them Brexiters. I call them refuckers. And all the Trump voters in America, you know, I say fuck around and find out. I laugh at the leopard eating people's faces memes. Of course I do. And people are saying, "Oh, I didn't think he was going to deport me." Why'd you fucking vote for him then, you dickhead? And the thing is, like, this sort of polarization becomes an addiction. It becomes an emotional addiction for many people, and it simplifies complex problems. If we could like sum up, if I could sum up what the last few years or the last 20 years of politics have been like, especially the last 10 years, it's been this, you know, this flight from complexity. Like this idea that like the world's too big and complex. There's too much information coming in. We can't quite filter everything that's coming in to us. And so we tend to find ourselves emotionally impacted by news from around the world like never before. In the ye olde days of the 1980s, if there was a landslide in Papua New Guinea, we might not find out for a couple of weeks. But now it's not just immediate. It's also people have got smartphones and they're taking videos of the landslide swallowing up an entire village. We saw this with the tsunami that hit in 2011. Loads of footage from all over Japan of people filming on their phones of this tsunami. Everyone's got a camera in their pocket now. It never used to be like that. Compare that with the amount of footage there was of the 2004 Boxing Day tsunami, which killed over 250,000 people. In Thailand, in Malaysia, in Indonesia, as far afield as Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, entire beaches in Sri Lanka that were just wiped out, entire towns that were just wiped out like that. And because hardly anyone had a phone, we heard about it. We knew how terrible it was, but we didn't actually see it. Now we don't just hear about missiles being intercepted over Qatar. We see it. I've seen footage of missiles landing at the side of smashing into the side of the road in Israel and in Iran. This footage gets uploaded. Tim Ballum, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. SCOTUS has ruled ICE can deport anyone to any country without due process. Yeah. So glad I'm not American. So very, very glad I'm not American. So I'm going to be going away in September. I'm heading back to Ginger Island for a couple of weeks to do some admin work that I've got to do over there. Don't feel sorry for me. It'll be a hoot. But my options, I had an option to fly via America, and I weighed it up, and it was like £100 less to fly via America. But here's the thing. It's not worth it. It's not worth it because you've got to check in. You've got to give them the passport when you arrive. It's not like changing planes in lots of other places where you just literally get off a plane, you walk to another port at the airport, and you get onto another plane and fuck off. You've got to really check into America. You've got to get your passport stamped in, and then you leave. Funny enough, they don't stamp your passport out of America. They just stamp you in, which I found a bit weird. But there you go. It's a system they've got. And is it worth £100 to delete all of my social media for the last 20 years? Like, I've been making videos on putting them on the internet for 20 fucking years now, and I'm going to wipe all that? What have I got to do? I've got to edit me fucking Wikipedia page? You're not even supposed to do that when it's about yourself. Like, there's no chance. I cannot go to America now. Trump has said I can't go. He said, no, you're not getting in. Because even though I got an American visa is no guarantee that you're going to get in. It just isn't. It's just, fuck it. So I'm going via Canada instead. Hey. So yeah. Back onto footballification, there's this idea that the other side hate MAGA, they hate the Brexiters. And unfortunately, they're kind of right about that. I do hate the Brexiters. I think they've completely derailed my career for no reason other than they were told to by posh cunts. So I've just demonetised the show. I don't care. I fucking hate them. Dickheads. I've told you before, I'm not one for forgiving the dickheads. Back in my day, well, actually no, 100 years before I was born, if you were that stupid, they'll lock you up for your own good. Graham, it's not worth it, my friend, says Alistair. Yeah, not doing it. Not even to change flights. I mean, American tourism is down 20%, across the board. 20%, it's down. Fucking insane. The amount of tourists that aren't going to America now. There's footage that's emerging of like empty flights going to America, and like they're cutting down the number of flights going to America. There's no one wants to know. And this is the mad thing, right? When it comes to sort of getting into crazy places, I'm more ballsy than most. But when I got my visa for Iran, for Afghanistan, for the Democratic Republic of Congo, I felt like it afforded me some level of safety in that I wouldn't be arrested at the border for coming into the country. Whereas in America, You can be arrested and detained at the border even if you've got a fucking visa. So what's the point of having a visa? There's literally it's just not going to happen. Veg Pie, £2 for the swear jar. Thank you, Veg Pie. That's very kind of you. Anyway, back to WWE. So this outrage cycle, should we call it? It is a pure dopamine hit, and I'm not immune from this myself. And I'm talking about this as if I'm some kind of like alien watching from another fucking planet. I'm not. I'm as involved as everybody else. I don't think I've fallen for the shit as much as other people have, clearly. But at the same time, I'm not immune from it. I like it when Trump fails. I go, yes, he fucking failed to do something. I hate it when Trump fucking succeeds in doing anything like this judgment come down from the Supreme Court. I just find that kind of, heartbreaking. And so it's an emotional roller coaster. But people enjoy the emotional roller coaster in the same way that we enjoy watching scary movies. We enjoy eating spicy food. Some of us enjoy a little bit of slap and tickle because a little bit of unpleasantness and then, the balance of the pleasantness or whatever, it makes you feel alive. Unfortunately, because humans are very weird, fucked up creatures. But here we are. Paul Ewan, £2 for the demonetization fund. Thank you so much, Paul. That's very kind of you. God knows I need it. Oh, and Colin, there you go. Compensation for your unintentional. See you next Tuesday. Thank you very much, Colin Baker, there with a £5 super chat. That's really kind of you, mate. Thank you. So but these dopamine hits and this roller coaster, it is like WWE, where the heels, the bad guys, they cheat. The baby faces rage. The crowd, goes crazy and gets angry about this. Who's done this bad thing, and then they get smashed in the face for doing a bad thing, and they're like, yes, but then they get back up and smash the good guy in the face, like, oh no. And it's the drama. People are sucked into the drama, and politics shouldn't be this dramatic, but now it is. And people don't care if Trump lies. It's completely pointless for us on the left to rack up all Trump's lies or point out that he's lied. It doesn't do anything. They don't care that he lies. They're not in it for the truth. They're in it for the performance. They're in it for the roller coaster. And his lies are, become part of this collective fantasy, this other world that people want to inhabit, where, there are these shape-shifting demons who rule the world through the Illuminati or whatever mad shit they choose to believe. And it means that the fans feel like by joining in with the fantasy, it makes them part of the show. They stop being someone who's reactive, someone who's passive, to someone who's actively taking a role, something that's been embedded in my generation by us playing video games and actually playing the role of protagonist and making choices as we go. And, we feel like we're co-authors of a story. And the meme lot, the Trump lot, the fucking crypto knobheads, they all think they're part of the story. They're affecting the way it goes in a way that, I try and stress on this channel. Get in touch. I keep saying it. Get in touch with make friends with your fucking Labour MP. If you've got a Labour MP, contact them. See if they want to go have a fucking pizza or something, or say, can you come in for a cup of tea at the surgery? Just get to know them, because once they know you, and they know that you're sensible and you're not a fucking complete weirdo. I don't know if I've quite crossed that Rubicon yet, but they might be more willing to listen to you or give, to put your point forward in Parliament. Like my MP, although I disagree with her on a few things that she's voted for in Parliament, she's been brilliant. She brought up my case of the refugees that came to stay with us here in Durham a couple of years ago from Ukraine. She brought that up in Parliament against Priti Patel. And Priti Patel said that she had the Home Office to look at it. And like literally the next day, the paperwork had gone through. We can affect change. We can become part of the narrative. And Trump and his followers, he knows that he can make, he knows. I mean, we talk about Trump because he's a fucking idiot in so many respects, but in some ways he knows what he's doing. He knows it's all about theatre, but also he knows what I know, which is so important, that to make these things work, it has to be a two-way conversation. He has to make his base feel involved in what he is doing. And that's how January the 6th came to happen. His base felt involved. They felt that they could liberate America from these woke people who wanted, decency and decorum, the bastards. He gave them something to do. And one of the most frustrating things, of a lot of frustrating things about the previous leader of Labour, is there were so many people who were on the left who wanted to fight against Brexit. And yet we had one arm tied behind our back, because even though so many people were so activated into wanting to change the narrative, to change, we were all just paralyzed. In fact, there was 1 million people that turned out in London to those marches, right? And yet 1 million people on the streets were beholden to the stupidity of one man who still wanted us to Brexit because he believed that the EU was a mechanized Frankenstein. This is a guy who whipped his own MPs to vote to activate Article 50 with no plan, no amendments, nothing to secure the rights of EU citizens living here. Over 3 million EU citizens living here. Nothing to secure the rights of millions of British people living around Europe. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And the frustrating thing for me was they had all these people. Labour in 2019, they had all these people who were not just voters, they were activists. And every activist is worth 10 voters. More, 100 voters. So if you've got 1 million people marching on the street for something, harness that power and use it to yeet the Tories out of office. And yet, this man's egotism, his idea that he was this godhead of this cult, so he could do no wrong and he was the most perfect man that ever existed, which a lot of them still believe to this day, which, in a way it blows my mind, and in another way I go, well, and a lot of those people, a lot of those same people, they're really, I'm not talking about you everyday Labour voter, I'm just talking about the ones who are really in the cult, who would literally scream in your face if you dared say anything negative at all about their leader. A lot of them have moved to refuck. I don't think that's a coincidence. Do you think that's a coincidence? They've moved from one, I didn't find him charismatic, but apparently charismatic leader of Labour. They've moved to another charismatic guy who offers simple solutions to complex problems. Funny that. Kieran, thank you so much. Have a few quid for the swear jar. Cheers, matey. That's very kind of you. And I'm probably not going to get any more. I'm probably not going to get any more super chats now, because I've gone off on one about the previous leader of Labour, whose name will remain unsaid by me. Anyway, he must not be named. Anyway, yeah, and social media, and obviously we've done this topic to death, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much. But social media is the battleground now. It's the ring. It's the wrestling ring. It's social media, and Truth Social is Trump's promo booth, and X is Musk's sort of battleground as well, and these, you've got crypto, which is the merch, you've got the memes, which are the finishing moves, whatever you want to call it, and the crowd funds the grift because they want to be part of the spectacle. They want this audience involvement, which old school broadcasters, as they don't understand why all of these younger, more erudite TikTokers and YouTubers are doing so well, because they don't understand that the reason why Mr. Beast is so successful is not because he sat down with a book and said, I'm going to read this. He's picked up the Private Eye, And he's gone, I'm going to read to you out the private eye, which is a passive thing for you. You're just sitting there going, oh, he's reading out the private eye. Mr. Beast didn't do that. Mr. Beast got his viewers involved. If you watch Mr. Beast videos, there's a good chance that you could be in one of the future Mr. Beast videos. You can make a suggestion that Mr. Beast goes and does some random challenge or something, but he does these massive competitions with thousands of people getting involved, and he understands, Mr. Beast understands, Trump understands that to win and to win the audience and to win people over, you've got to make them feel involved. And this is something that the left, it is a lesson that we need to learn. And it is one of the reasons why I love doing this, because your comments can often send me off, or whoever's presenting, whoever's on the show, send us off on tangents to another dimension. Because, like, you know, we like talking about stuff, and you might mention something that triggers something. Oh, yeah, it's a bit like that, isn't it? Making all these mad connections together and going off on these strange mental, doing this strange mental gymnastics on the show. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy doing this. And I'm glad that we've got such a great team together. And I want to grow it. I want to grow the audience of this channel. And I think that we can with a little bit of a push. And I think that would be something to show, you know, if it becomes really successful, to say this is a good way of doing it. This is a good way of having a two-way dialogue. And it's what I would like Labour to do, and the Lib Dems, and the SNP, and Plaid Cymru, and the Greens, is to have these more two-way conversations instead of just making a royal proclamation everyone has to listen to it, to actually, you know, show people that they can be part of the conversation, make them feel heard. And the left have this arrogant attitude. I'm generalizing here, but the left have this kind of arrogant attitude that they want to just make proclamations from above, and that everyone should understand, everyone should get it. And it's a trap that politicians find themselves in all the fucking time. And I keep saying it shouldn't be up to me or Phil to explain why Labour have done this daft fucking thing, why it seems to make no sense. And then when questioned on it, dickheads like Wes Streeting says, well, if you didn't want this to happen, you shouldn't have voted for the Tories then. Instead of explaining why Labour have done this particular thing in opposition. George, thank you very much. Actually, I missed the demonetization moment, but here's one for the share jar anyway. Oh, thank you very much, George. And relax, Graham. MAGA guys don't want to be called up. That's very true. They do not. No, this is why. Look, like I say, I don't feel like we're entering the apocalypse anytime soon. It's just that there's dickheads running the show, which is which is depressing. But yeah, the crypto thing is so people can feel part of Trump's presidency. They can support him directly. They know they can just give him fucking money, and they might make money out of it. They won't, but you know, they think that they might. And then you've got like let's talk about sort of other examples as well. I think Boris Johnson did this very well. The whole flooding the zone with nonsense. He was in the newspapers every day with some more nonsense. He talked about how he would do this dead cat thing. He said, turn up and throw a dead cat on the table, and everyone would be so distracted by the dead cat they wouldn't remember what it was they were supposed to be talking about. You know, his buffoonish clown act had serious corruption. And people said, oh, he's funny though. As if that justified his lies, his racism, the Brexit disaster, his disastrous handling of COVID, which that's led to the deaths of over 100,000 people who didn't need to be dead. And, you know, his fucking, this Latin quoting fucking weirdo who people thought that it'd be great to be down the pub with. And that whole shtick of him going out and jogging in the morning, it was bullshit. I mean, you just get out the car and jog from the car to the front of the house. So we got, you know, all the paparazzi were there taking a picture of him in his, you know, his jogging gear. And it was like, he did that on purpose to show he was like, you know, the common touch, and he was just like you and me. It's the same shtick that Nigel Farage does, where he goes to the pub with his pints. Do you remember that time when Boris Johnson was under fire? I think when he was the foreign secretary and had been to this fucking sex and cocaine party, because that's something that, you know, a minister of state should definitely go to. he went over to this party in Italy that was being held by a KGB agent or an FSB agent. And he got back, and I think that's when it was. And the media were like camping out outside his house, and he came out with tea for the journalists. And he knew that they would film it all and put it on TV, and the story would then be not Boris Johnson, corrupt motherfucker. It would be Boris Johnson gives tea to journalists. And this is the touch that Starmer does not have, that the Labour Party do not have, and they should. Angela Rayner, Jess Phillips, they could be excellent at this, but both of them, to me, feel restrained by the Labour Party machine. That is like, no, we've got to maintain a level of what's the word for it? Like where you kind of like a little bit stepped away from something. I'm thinking like offhanded, but that's not the right word. Offset. Maybe we've got to be a little bit offset from the rest of society. And I'm like, that's just not the way to do it. Giving out proclamations. I don't know, like my okay, so if I was an MP, right, which I'm not, thank God. But if I was PM even, right, and I was asked a question about, say, Brexit, right? So here's the thing, right? My party line is that we're not going to rejoin the EU, and we're not going to campaign to rejoin the EU. But I want to rejoin the EU because I'm Graham Hughes. I famously fucking campaigned to keep us in the EU. I was, one of the most miserable failures of my life was that. But never mind. You can't win them all, eh? But yeah, I would say when someone asks me, this would be my stock response. So at the moment, we have no plans to do that in this parliament, but we are the servants of the people of the United Kingdom. And if enough people in the United Kingdom are calling for this, then it is something that we would look into in the future. Now, there's two fucking things that come from saying that, right? First of all, I'm not saying never, so I'm not dispiriting people. But secondly, it's a fucking call to arms, isn't it, dickheads? Right? You're saying if only enough people were calling for it, then obviously we'll do it. That gets more people calling for it. Hello? And then when the papers say, oh, about 10, they say, no. I said that I would do what the British population, what the British public want us to do. That's who I'm driven by. I am a servant of the British public. These newspapers aren't. They have their own agenda, and they don't give a shit about the British public. I do. That makes me look boss, makes the papers look bad, and makes me look way more democratic. But they don't say this stuff. They try and stick to party lines, which they try and shoehorn into responses. Trump doesn't do that. Nigel Farage doesn't do that. Boris Johnson never did that. He just said the first thing that came into his head. And here's the thing. It works because it gives a connection to the people watching. Going, oh, that's the sort of thing I would say. Yeah, I'll probably give a stupid answer to that. Yeah, he's saying what he thinks. That's what people like about Farage. You ask them, what do you like about Farage? They always says what he thinks. And it's because if you go the other way and stick to the party line, and you look like a rabbit in headlights, like Angela Rayner looks most of the time these days, and Starmer clearly looks like a rabbit in headlights, it enters the realm of the uncanny valley. If Starmer is replaced by AI tomorrow, how long would it take us to notice? I don't think you could replace Trump with AI. He's too random. He's too fucking mad. Same with Boris Johnson. But Starmer? You know what I'm saying, don't you? So we see this in other countries as well. You've got Modi, Narendra Modi in India, who is, he put himself forward as a yoga, as a strongman. It's this Hindu nationalist fighting against, the secularism of modern India. He's going to make it this wonderful Hindu kingdom, and he has this sort of mythology that he likes to draw on, and he isn't out and out populist. For the BJP, the ultra Hindu party, which I don't think is very healthy in India. Probably not my place to say, but in a country with 1.4 billion people, and a country where there's over 100 million Muslims living there, and millions of Christians and Sikhs and Zoroastrians and Parsis and all, there's a lot of different religions. The Buddhists, there's a lot of different religions that singling out one religion over the others and just doing things to benefit that one religion. I think that way is very, very dangerous, and certainly not what Mohandas Gandhi wanted. Paula Thomas, £2 super chat. Ironically, Blair got this right. Yeah. One of the best clips of Tony Blair is when he went off on a woman in I don't know what the meeting was or whatever, but she made a point about Labour and they hadn't done anything, and he had an emotional response to it. He got pissed off, and he just rattled off all the things that Labour have done, and it was good to see the emotion. I mean, did he handle it perfectly? Probably not. Did Prescott handle it perfectly when someone threw an egg at his head? No, fucking didn't. Turned around and clocked the guy. But it felt human. In a world of AI, in a world of fucking VFX, CGI graphics, video games, we want that touch of humanity. We don't want our leaders to be automatons. It's scary. It genuinely scares. There are people out there who are more scared of Keir Starmer than they are of Donald Trump, because they look at Trump and go, well, he's just normal, isn't he? Whereas Starmer's, I'm not reading off an auto cue. I'm trying to talk to you about the important things that are happening in our society today. And it's just like, will you move? Will you fucking blink? Will you... But when I've seen Starmer be interviewed one-to-one, he's really good. He just comes across as a normal bloke. But when he's giving his fucking speeches and stuff, he's just so wooden and so... SG, Modi is a wannabe fascist, and why should you apologise for telling the truth? Says SG. Are you talking about me apologising? I'm just saying, I don't want to upset anyone who's, from India, because, like, British person talking about my fucking politics, the bastard. Let's talk about Argentina. Javier Milei. The chainsaw wielding libertarian edgelord guy who calls himself, what's he call himself? Anarcho-capitalist or something. Arno Capman or something. He sells a fantasy of cultural supremacy he shouts like freedom while gutting democracy, while taking away entire government departments that are there to help the people of Argentina in order to make more money for the very rich people in Argentina, probably the old Nazis. And then you got Elon Musk. I know he's not a politician, but he's used memes, chaos, cultism to dodge accountability. And he's a sketchy weirdo as well. I don't really get it with Musk. I kind of understand it with Trump and Farage, but Musk, to me, I don't see why anyone warms to him except sketchy weirdos. I guess he's got a huge fandom of sketchy weirdos who are like, oh, he's kind of sketchy and weird, just like me. But he promotes far right causes while promoting this free speech, being the saviors of free speech. And then you've got Nigel Farage, the bard of bullshit, the foghorned, the bollocked-faced foghorn of ignorance. He acts as the everyman while selling Britain out to his billionaire mates. And he fully embraces Trump's playbook, spectacle over substance all the fucking time. And the thing is, stressing people out and offering them simplicity, saying, oh, the world's a really complex and scary place. Here's a simplistic answer to these problems. It's control. That's what it creates. It creates in uncertain times, people want certainty, even if it's fake, even if it's a fantasy. And populists, offer emotional certainty or emotional clarity. They're evil. I'm good. I'm going to rescue you. You're a woman and you've been assaulted by a man. Well, I'm going to rescue you from that by banning trans women from the bathroom. How does that work entirely? You know, does that 50 women have been killed already this year in the UK by men, like cisgender men. A single woman has not been killed by a trans person this year at all. Just hasn't happened. 0. It was 50 to 0. But still, I suppose, putting all men under curfew after after 8 o'clock at night isn't really practicable. Whereas banning trans people from using the fucking toilets in Parliament, I guess that's okay. Yeah. Just have to hold it in, don't you? Because that's something that they can actually do. Demonize a minority of a minority that can't fight back and, bully the shit out of them. And people rise to it and go, oh my God, this is feminism now. Yay. SG, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Indians can be racist and fascistic and authoritarian too. No one should feel apologetic for calling that out. Oh, thanks, SG. That's very kind of you. Yeah, I mean, every country has its problems. It's why I get kind of a bit wound up when people are like, "Oh, look at this particular country, isn't it amazing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's got some good points. It's got some bad points as well, though." I don't think it helps out with me for pointing out the bad points. Anyway, yeah. And then you've got this fight, I guess. Dichotomy, is that the right word for it? You've got news having to compete with like TikTok, this is where sort of entertainment trumps ethics, and it doesn't feel like fascism when you're laughing at Trump's thing that he's done today, or when you feel like you're owning the libs, or you're stopping, you're promoting free speech on campus, or whatever it is that you feel, you're trying to promote under your Trump agenda. You're getting rid of the terrorists in the country. You're getting rid of all these foreign criminals who have come to your country to commit crimes. Sorry, that weird noise is me putting the lid on my flask here. It doesn't feel like fascism if you're having a good time, because when we see fascism in the movies, it's all like very grumpy people or shouting things in German, and killing people horribly. And we're not seeing that with Trump. I mean, it's going on obviously because the police killed so many people in America, but it doesn't feel like fascism to a lot of people, even though to us we can see it and go, that's fascism. So if we point it out and say, mate, that's fascism, they're not going to believe us. They're not going to believe us. And the show is distracting from these authoritarian power grabs, which is what you're seeing all across America right now and in other countries around the world. And this supporting Trump isn't just a vote, isn't just, it's just not just politics, it's identity, it's community, it's belonging, it's talking to a sense of self to the people who are part of the MAGA cult. And if you attack Trump, they take it personally, in the same way that the supporters of the previous leader of Labour took it personally when you had a go at the previous leader of Labour. It was like you had just said their tattoo was shit, or their baby was ugly, or their missus was a wrong un. The reaction, the anger, the vitriol that accompanied you saying, I don't think he's all that. How fucking dare you? Because these people love the guy, Trump, the previous leader of Labour. What's his name? Dickhead. Nigel Farage. They love them. They love these people. They see them as one of their own, an extension of their family. They love them more than their own children, a lot of people who are, massively in love with these fucking dickheads. And so that an attack on Trump or an attack on Farage, it feels like a personal slight against that person. And I'm not immune to this either. If I have a good friend who said to me, like, I'm thinking of voting for Farage, I would take that as a slight. I would take that as someone saying, "Fuck you, Graham. You think you know it all, but I'm gonna screw you." I lost friends who voted for Brexit because possibly more my response to them voting for Brexit rather than their, their malintent in voting for it. Because I saw it, as a personal slight. I saw it, I took it personally. And I still do. I still do to this day. I know, just being there at a party and having an old family friend say to me, this line, which I'll probably just keep repeating this for the rest of my life. You may have a degree in politics and you may have been to every country in the world, but what you don't understand is, and then went and repeated something that they had read in the fucking the Daily Mail. A lie. They just trotted out a lie. And it was like all the work I had done, all the blood, sweat, and tears I had put into my, learning, let's say, my experience over the years means nothing. And of course, I'm going to take that as a personal slight. Would you take that as a personal slight? Because I fucking did. And, you can't debate with these people. You can't debate Kayfabe, you have to. How we fight back is we've got to undermine the performance. Don't feed the heel, the baddie. Don't feed them. Don't boo. Don't take the bait. Mock the spectacle. Don't amplify it. Use satire as like a scalpel instead of like a fucking blunderbuss or something. Punch up. Just continue to punch up. Never legitimize the absurd by treating it as a serious debate. Laugh at them. Laugh at Trump. Just go and because getting people to laugh at these motherfuckers is half the fucking battle. TJ fucking did this. Jesus Christ. Instead of getting angry about it, well, we can get angry about it in private, but when we're talking to these people, we need to get at least some of them on side, to draw the venom out of their veins somehow in a little way. We need to laugh. Trump can't stand it when people laugh at him. He can't stand it when people mock him, satirize him. It is his Achilles heel. So instead of taking this all deadly seriously, we need to, unfortunately, join in with the show. If you can't beat him, fucking join him. I don't mean become a Trumpster. I mean, use his own weapons against him. Make him a fucking mockery. Make him not seem so strong and impervious and have all these powers. Just keep taking the piss loudly and in public as often as possible. And we also need to build better stories on the left. You don't abandon a fantasy unless you've offered a better one, maybe one that's true. We've got to tell stories that resonate emotionally and truthfully, which is a difficult balancing act, to be honest with you, but it can be done. And disrupt the algorithm. You starve the grift, demonetize the lies, crack down on crypto scams. It's not really something that we can do ourselves, but we can write to our MPs and say, look, these crypto scams are fucking everything. Can you sort something? Can you put some, can you put some regulation in there? The regulation of social media is something that we need to put in as well. But when we say starve the grift, demonetize the lies, something important that we need to do is don't engage when someone puts something twatty on social media. Just fucking block them. Don't start a conversation with them. That's what they want. If someone leaves a twatty comment on this channel, I just block them. Okay, I make a joke about their mum, and then I block them. But I'm not going to engage. This is my show. If you want to talk to me, write something in the chat, and maybe put it as a super chat, so I'd definitely read it. And let's have a conversation. Come on. If you want me to get into the comments and spend half the day writing shit, ain't gonna happen, motherfucker. I can't be arsed. Got things to do, mate. Got a life to fucking live. And I think the most important thing is be like the Pet Shop Boys, Don't be boring. Don't be boring. That is the main thing. We need to be able to get people on board, and we can do it in a dry way if that's our personality. We don't have to be bouncing off the walls like a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon character who no one's going to take seriously. But, you know, have a little bit of spice about what's going on, a bit of theatricals, a bit of a flourish. This is something that like politicians in this country, especially Labour politicians, just do absolutely terribly. Yes, facts matter. They do. They absolutely. But the packaging of those facts matters more, because you can fact everyone on the fucking planet till they fart, but it makes no difference if people are going to fucking ignore them because the packaging's not shiny enough. And it's all to do with the means of communication. And it's all to do with the way that we communicate. And I'm fed up of hearing, oh, but Labour, you know, the tabloids are against them, the newspapers are against them. Fuck off. I don't care. I don't give a shit. We've got the internet and they're doing nothing with it. They're doing absolutely nothing with it. Labour don't even give guidance or support to their own MPs who are making social media content. They've got no house style. They've got no assets that they give them to say, hey, can you just put Labour in the corner so everyone knows this is a Labour video? Just a little PNG. That's all you need in the corner that says politics social. There you go. Little thing there, with a little bit of a shadow on it so it looks like it's a bit 3D when it's not. Maybe make a little animation. Maybe make a little sort of swirly steam animation thing for the corner and give it to them. When you make a video, pop this as a layer on top. Thank you. We've got layers on this. We've got this politics, social, scrolling text at the background. You've got your text coming up. I'm not getting paid fucking 50 grand a year to do this for fucking Labour. Do you know what I mean? If I was, I'd do a better job. But seriously, this is not complex. And I've done this on OBS, which is a free software, right? Okay, I pay for the Adobe suite, so that it does cost quite a lot. But I do use it all the fucking time. I use it every day. That's how I sort of excuse the fact that Adobe just absolutely take the piss when it comes to the amount they charge people. It's like 30 quid a month or something for their suite of programs. I don't even use them all. I only use Premiere and Photoshop. But, doing this, the OBS and YouTube, it's free. It's fucking free. This camera that I'm using, it's 10 years old. It's an old camera that I've got. Just plugged it in. The cable to plug it in cost me 15 quid. We're not talking about setting up a studio and getting all the lighting rigging and all this kind of stuff. You don't need it. The maddest thing about all my setup here is I think pretty much everything that I use, including the monitors, including the computer, the lights, the camera, the tripod that the camera's fucking sitting on, someone bought it for me. Someone who wanted to support the channel. This mic was bought by a supporter of the channel. Said, Graham, your mic's shit. I'll get you a new one. Gives you your address. So I gave him my address and he sent me a mic. Thanks, by the way. But you could do this for fuck all. And yet Labour are just not interested. The facts will speak for themselves. Facts don't speak for themselves, even if you say the facts. You need to do so much more to win the war of communication, which is completely being dominated by the right wing at the moment. Think John Oliver, not Keir Starmer. Progressive causes, they need entertainment value, clarity, identity, and they need fun. And this is somewhere where I feel like I can't control the people at Just Stop Oil or Extinction Rebellion or the Green Party. I've got no say over what daft as shit Greenpeace does. When it went to the fucking NASCAR lines and walked all over them to write something in NASCAR. Why did you do that? But if I was, I'd be like, we've got to start thinking of things that capture the public imagination. We need spectacle. We need fun. We need to make people feel involved. And with green issues, it's the best one to do it with because everyone can recycle. Everyone can make little changes in their life to make themselves more green and therefore contribute, therefore join the narrative, join the story, Be part of the expedition. Instead of going from a passive observer of things. But we don't do this on the left. And I can't stress this enough. And I know there's some people who are watching this going, Graham, you keep going on about this and it's getting irritating now. And I'm sorry for fear of repeating myself. But this is the reality. The left make people feel bad about themselves. The right make people feel good about themselves. That is the big difference. You're on the left, it's, oh, you're getting in your car, are you? You know, all the damage that's doing to the environment in your car. Well, it's an electric car. Oh, it's an electric car, is it? Well, what about all the damage that the lithium batteries are doing? What about the rare earth materials that are needed for that? What about the coltan from Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo? What about the rubber and the tyres? Hey, did you think about the rubber and the tyres? No, you fucking didn't. The little particulates going into children's lungs and killing them. You're killing children in your electric car, you bastard. Okay. Well, I'll go on my bike then. Oh, is that one of those fancy bikes, a Carmen nanotube bike? Oh, is it one of them? Is it? Do you know how much energy it takes to make that bike? You don't want to know how much pollution you made making that fucking fancy bike. Okay, all right, so I'll just walk then. Oh, are you going anywhere nice this year? Yeah, I'm gonna fly over to you gotta what? You're going to fly, you bastard, you piece of shit. How dare you fly, you shitbag bastard. Oh, but you eat meat as well, you fucking scumbag. Oh, you like a bacon toaster. You look like the type. God, you should feel bad. You should feel bad all the time, every day. Every time you breathe air. That's air that someone else could breathe. What are you doing with all those organs in your body? Why don't you just cut yourself open and give them to people if you care that much? That's the message that the left gives all the fucking time. And we need to stop it. We need to stop it. The right, on the other hand, it's like, yeah, you're racist. Woo! Yeah, you go. You're an idiot. Hey, here's a little participation award for being an idiot. Oh, great, cool. Oh, yeah, let's stick one to those boffins by getting a really polluting car. Because it's a good thing that you pollute the planet. It's a good thing that you do that. That's what the right do. The left makes you feel bad. Makes you feel bad for living in society. Can you see the difference? Can you see why the right is so appealing? Can you see why people fall for it? I mean, it makes sense to me. The left are all like, shit, the world's fucked, we're all fucked, everything's fucked. The right are like, everything's great, everything is awesome. It's like the fucking Lego movie. And I'm not saying that we have to make up shit. I'm not saying we have to bullshit. It's the packaging that's important. We have to package truth in a way that makes people feel awesome, that makes people feel empowered, that makes people feel part of the narrative. Because that's what Trump does. That's what Farage does. And that's why they win and we lose every fucking time. Anyway, Trump isn't winning in spite of all these memes against him. He's winning because of them. The show is the strategy. Even his squeaky fucking tank, it's part of the strategy. It doesn't matter. He has a fail, but everyone will be talking about it. He doesn't care what they're talking about as long as they're talking. He doesn't care if they're slacking him off as long as they're talking about him. That is what he wants. Spectacle, it can't fix your mortgage. It can't, unpoison your water or stop fascism. But if we want to stop the lunatics in charge, we need to really readdress the way that we approach this war, this battle that we are fighting at the moment. Because a neatly packaged lie is just so much more digestible than a raw bit of truth. And it's not like the truth needs to be horrible. Here's a bit of truth from me, from the heart. And I know you've heard this before, but I'm going to say it again. Don't give a fuck, right? The world's not as bad a place as people make it out to be. There's more children now who have got food in their belly, who live to the age of, beyond the age of 5. There's more people living longer in countries all over the world. There's more children who have been lifted out of absolute poverty than at any time in history. There's more literate people in the world than at any time in history. There's more literate people as a percentage of the world than any time in history. We've got cures for diseases. We've got vaccinations. We've got whole armies mobilizing against malaria. Massive killer. We've got people working together in communities to ensure that people are looked after all over the world. It's not that bad. And wanting a better future for your kids is a noble endeavor. And we shouldn't be putting people down for the little bit they do. If you want to make someone go veggie, make some fucking nice veggie food for them. Make some fucking delicious veggie food for them. Once a week to start with. Do you know what's not going to work? Showing them pictures of a tortured animal. Please don't do that. Because it doesn't fucking work. Okay? Trust me on this. It doesn't. You want to get people on side. You've got to think about how you present the story. How you present the narrative. How you, get them to join in with our side. Because we are taking sides. And that's the, realism of, real politic, let's call it. The footballification of the nation. Well, of all nations, actually. But we can do something about this. And the sooner we stop, the sooner we fight fire with fire in this case. This is like an oil rig fire that you got to blow it up. No good putting fucking water on it, mate. You're just going to make it worse. So yeah, the sooner we get to grips with this, the sooner we start controlling, using the tools that we have, OBS, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, X, whatever the fuck, to our own advantage, the sooner we'll make a better world for our children and our grandchildren. At the moment, we're just flailing around, constantly chasing the error, constantly going, oh my God, what now? What's Trump done? And I'm not immune from this. I know I'm not, before you say it. But I really think that we need to, as a community, as a group of people, I really think that we need to start readdressing how we go about getting people on side. Because the right know how to do it. The right have just, they've mastered it. Whereas the left, and the only reason why Labour did so well in the last election is because everyone was sick of the Tories. They lost control of the narrative. And don't forget, elections are never won. They're lost by the other party. And we have to make sure that we fuck lose the next election. Because they're growing in power. They're growing in stature. They're growing in vote share. The polling, they're through the fucking roof at the moment. And we need to make sure that we fight against it in a way that connects with everyday people who just want the best for themselves and their family. Paula, thank you very much. Supreme example of bad messaging, save the planet. Good messaging would be save humanity. Yeah, good example, Paula. Good example. Yeah, because like the planet, it seems like a nebulous concept. I know that sounds a bit daft, but people go, oh, save the planet? Well, I can't save the planet, But save humanity? No, it sounds a bit more doable, realistic, something I can help with, maybe. I don't know. I always think about, the fact that we are facing this existential threat that is climate change. Well, I mean, world changing, humanity changing event that is climate change. But it is one of those few things that we can do something about individually. We can be part of the narrative. We can be part of the story. We can't really do that with wars. We can't really do that with whatever the fuck Trump's doing in America. I can't be part of that story. But if we all contribute, if we all go, yeah, let's do green stuff. Because, it makes economic sense as well as making moral sense. Which is always helpful. Right, I've gone on a bit this morning, haven't I? Bloody hell. An hour and 39 minutes? Jesus Christ. Well, I was late getting started, so, you get a bumper show. Well done. And I didn't even have to put a goal up this morning. You've all been very kind. So I'm going to just quickly go over the papers very, very quickly. It's all about the Iran thing. So here we go. Oh, hang on. That's not right. What's even happening right now? Go away, frog face. Go away, advert. Right. Trump, ceasefire agreed with Iran. There's some pictures there, things blowing up. Starmer's Smoke and Mirrors pledged to spend 40 billion on defiance. Then we've got War Gams over here. The Gam Gam there, the king of the Gams. Iran attacks US base in Qatar but gives warning first. We talked about this a little bit this morning. Trump, time for peace after Iran's very weak attack. And then we've got this thing going on a glummer holiday because people want to go to cold places or something. There's a great story here in the Guardian today about how Venice rose up against the wedding of Jeff Bezos to this Mar-a-Lago-faced woman. And then we've got the Iran attack on US air bases leaves Middle East on edge. And there's the attack coming. These are bits of rocket here in Qatar. And then we've got the Times here. I know why people fall in love with me, says Robert Crampton. Who the fuck is Robert? Does anyone know who Robert Crampton is? Hands up at the back. Who's Robert Crampton? I'm going to type his name into the internet. Robert Crampton. Oh, he's an English journalist. 60 years old. And he went to... I was going to check if he went to... he's from Blackpool, is he? He's from Humberside. He grew up in an affluent suburb. But he did go to a comprehensive school, and he was actively involved in the campaign for nuclear disarmament. Well, that's nice. Anyway, so I don't know who he is, but there you go. Apparently, people fall in love with him. Iran fires missiles. We've had that. Millionaires to flee UK. I wanted to bring this one up today. Britain is on track to lose a record 16,500 millionaires this year, as tax increases and falling economic confidence drive wealthy residents abroad. This is absolute bollocks. This is from the Heaney Private Wealth Migration Report. It's part of a historic wave of wealth immigration. The studies is analysed as migration trends with people with liquid assets. Predicts the UK will lose twice as many high net worth as China and 10 times as many as Russell this year. Okay. He said this is an unprecedented outflow, an already record-breaking year in 2024 when 10,800 affluent residents departed in search of greener pastures. That's a made-up number. That's a complete lie. That is a made-up number that was compiled last year by a dodgy survey that just looked at people posting stuff on LinkedIn and extrapolating from these posts. People going to another country. Like, they could have been going there on fucking holiday. You know, or going there for work, going there for a fucking symposium or a conference or something. But it was like, oh, they've left the country. Yeah, they're going to come back. It's absolute bollocks. From the Murdoch media, what do you expect? Revealed post office had evidence of second IT scandal going back 30 years. I think we knew that already, but there you go. Why do so many parents want baby girls? Because boys are a fucking nightmare. UK is ready to defend our allies as Iran attacks American base. And interview with Billy Idol. I had sex with 1 million people I didn't know. Cool. Fucking hell, he's been busy. And then there's a picture of the same. They've used the same picture. This is the 5th time now. This picture, I think, of the jaunty hat woman of Kate Middleton has been on. I think I'm doing my chameleon. Sorry, I'll stop doing that now. Why Kate's friends tell me after what Kate friends tell me after she missed Ascot. I remember we see her again. I can't be. Jeez, Okay, so whose side are you on, Kia? Hey? Labour still can't bring themselves to back America. All right. Maybe because they just acted unilaterally and didn't really need our help, so whatever. Israel and Trump target Iranian regimes. Topple the Ayatollahs. Okay. And then we've got Iran strikes back with missile attack on US base in Qatar. And protesters clash with police. As government uses terror laws to ban Palestine action. There's a woman there with a Choose Love t-shirt on. She looks very angry. British nationals used to shelter in place in Doha. For like 5 minutes. I think that's old news. And then where's the uranium? The hunt for Iran's stockpile of enriched material. We don't know where it is. Tehran unleashes missile assault on key American military base in Qatar. Okay, so we knew that. Trump's erratic policy shifts heighten Europeans' fears for gold stored in US. Germany and Italy are facing calls to move their gold out of New York following Donald Trump's repeated attacks on the US Federal Reserve and increasing geopolitical turbulence. I think that would be a clever move. They swapped their gold for dollars, didn't they? But now the dollar might not be as solid and as stable as we once thought, because they've got someone in charge who isn't very solid and not very stable. Oh, right. Okay, I'm going to get going now. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your kind messages. Mr. Tist, as many of the English with Welsh accents will vote we fuck. They will. I'm sorry about that. Elle says she may not be able to say it with words, which is clearly showing she's hurting. I'm sorry about that. He made the Crampton shoe lift, says Trip Trip. I love coming in halfway to people's conversations. I'm like, well, what? Millionaires are always going to leave the country if X, Y, Z. Occasionally, if they even do, but I doubt we'll run short of them. Yeah. Bye, millionaires. Leave us the keys to your properties. We can convert them to social homes, says Sarah. Yep. Was listening to James O'Brien on the way home. He's predictably unimpressed by that fail headline. Yeah. What's he doing? You should send the troops. You should send the troops. And he's like, I haven't asked for any fucking support. Like, what? You know, what are you going to do, Keogh? You should do. Oh, fuck off. Not that I'd be keen on them supporting Iran either, as things currently are. Two nasty regimes duking it out with the US's thumb on the scale. Yeah. What most of us are worried about is whether Labour can bring themselves not to support the US. Well, I mean, you know, we supported the US in Vietnam. We just didn't send any of our troops over there. Australia did. Aussies went over to Vietnam. They were fucked up by it. But like the British said, no, sorry, we're not getting involved in this one. We do have outs if you want to. And I have no such recollections about Thatcher, says Colin. I was in my 20s then, and I remember the right trashing Heath and clearing the path to number 10 for Thatcher. They didn't care when she stopped free milk. Yeah, Maggie Thatcher, milk snatcher. Be kind, we rewind. When you've wound the tape for the next person, they can watch the film from the start. We have anything like that anymore? No. People just, I mean, these days people would watch the film and, you know, wind it back to the beginning and then wind it back to the end, just to be annoying, and to waste electricity so they can burn the more fossil fuels. Anyway, I'll be back at 7:30 tonight with Geoscope, and just a heads up for tomorrow, me and Rachel will be doing the rabbit hole a little bit earlier tomorrow. We'll be doing it at 5 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock. So apart from that, it's going to be the regular schedule tomorrow. Morning brew at 9 o'clock, PM Q's at 12, and then we're going to have the rabbit hole at 5. But I'll see you tonight at 7:30 for Geoscope, where we'll be talking about all the shit that's going on around the world. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of the day. Have a good time, whatever you're doing. Please, if you're thinking of starting on some kind of artistic project, just get started. It's the hardest bit. Just get started. It's always easy to revise something than to write it in the first place. And I'll just say thank you for the chat. Thank you for the super chats in particular. Oh, we got another super chat. Hey. If Iran falls, then that's a plus for Ukraine. That's true, George, because they were creating drones for the Russians to then attack and kill Ukrainians. So yes, that's a good thing. Anyway, I'll see you later. In the meantime, you have a great day. Give us a like on the way out, like. And hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.